Contenedor y el coche. El contenedor y el coche. Madre mía, mirad cómo baja. Mirad cómo baja, madre mía. Madre mía. Esto me da miedo.
Torrential rain and severe thunderstorm battered much of Texas, caused widespread flooding, property damage, and mass evacuation in several counties. The much-day weather event caused by slow-moving low-pressure system causing chaos in the cities such as Houston, San Diego, Dallas, and parts of East Texas. Harris County received more than 300 millimeters of rainfall in 36 hours, causing bayous, drainage canals, and flood control reservoirs to overflow. The Buffalo Bayou embraced Bayou overflow flooding residential areas to force an emergency service to conduct more than 5,000 rescue operations in Greater Houston area. Governor declared a state of emergency in more than 13 counties, mobilized the Texas National Guard to Activation Emergency Cooperation Center. This is not just covering about state of new conference. This is a live theater including that requires immediate action. In ocean, flash floods turned roads into rivers, blocking vehicles and forcing dozens of water rescues. Several low-like crosswire were washed away and schools in Travis County were closed in several restaurants. Meanwhile, in Dallas-Fort Worth, a heavy rainfall overflow storm drained enclosed major interstate highways, including sections of I-35 and I-20. The National Weather Service issued a flood warning, the most in the central and southwestern Texas. Nothing that saturated soil and additional rainfall caused a prolonged crisis. Experts from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration warning that the climate trends are contributing to more than frequent and intense rainfall in the southwestern United States. At least 7 people have been confirmed dead across the state, with dozens more injured. Damage are expected to exceed 1 billion of thousands of households and businesses acid flood damage. As rescue and recovery efforts continue, Texas that forced not only the aftermath in their destruction, but also the pressing questions of how to adapt the increasingly unstable climate in which storms its magnitude may become a regular occurrence rather than rarely. The state of Texas is facing one of the most severe flooding in recent years, as the severe days of heavy rain have flooded down and the household of people homeless and left a state emergency being declared in more than 14 counties. The powerful storm that swept across the Gulf Coast and the central Texas brought prolonged rainfall with a total exceeded 350 millimeters. In some areas of Harris, Monthly, and Travis County in Houston already vulnerable of flooding due to in low elevation and rapid urbanization area along the Buffalo Bayou. White Oak, Bayou, and Greenville were flooded with hours. More than 7,000 water rescue were carried and temporary evacuation shelters were opened in school and cruises throughout the Mediterranean area. In the eastern Texas, the City of Liberty was cut off from the world due to overflowing of the Torrential River, which rose to highest level since Hurricane Harvey in 2017. Sirens sounded of residential were ordered to evacuation before the nightfall. In San Antonio, severe flash floods washed away cars and caused the closure of nearby roads, including major arteries such as the Loop 310 and I-10. At least 10 deaths have been confirmed across the state, including several drivers who attempt to cross flooded roads and rescue who get swept away by the fast-moving water in a farm-bred country. More than 120,000 power outages have been reported to infrastructure have been overwhelmed by the storm winds and saturated soil. Governor Greg Abbott mobilized more than 1,000 National Guard troops as well by helicopters and watercraft. Texas through the state, he said, but they bring all available resources to better protect life and restore stability. The National Weather Service warning that saturated soil, overflowing rivers and new storm forecast of the coming days make the crisis only worsen. Flood warning remain in effect in parts of Austin, Waco, and Piedmont. Scientists of University of Texas Climate Center emphasize the warning waters in the Gulf of Mexico and interside monsoon system are making extreme precipitation more common throughout the region. They warn that the ones of the considered in the one-in-the-century flood could now occur every 10 years or even more frequently. As the skies begin to clear, Texas faces a long road to recovery. One of the involves not only their rebuilding but also preparing for what may no longer be an exceptional disaster but a recurring reality. An unexpected meteorological event, Texas and Arizona found themselves in the grip of ferocious hailstorms that wreaked havoc across the states. Residents awake out of guard and the sky transformed into relentless cascades and the sky turned day into the ear-frozen spectacle. The storm was stuck in the unrelenting force left a trail of destruction in this way. Numerous reports flooded in from both urban to rural areas detailing shattered windows, damaged vehicles and battered groups. Meteorologists described the hailstorms unusually large sound that reaching the side of the Gulf Bowl causing extensive property, damage, poison of serious and serious public safety. Emergency services were stretched to their limits and they responded. Districts called to the navigated treacherous conditions. Local authority urged residents to stay indoors and to take precautionary to avoid injury. The abruptness to intensity of the storm left many by questions the predictability of such extreme weather events in traditionally temperature regions. Transportation infrastructure born in the boot of the hailstorm with a highway resembled ice-covered obstacle course. Flights were grounded and motorists struggled to navigate routes or rendering hazardous to accumulation of ice.